this is kind of frustrating. I'm currently fueling, and they recently installed these RFID things in our trucks. Anybody familiar with that who doesn't work for GP? So basically it's like a sensor that interacts with the fuel pump. Stand by. And what happened was I was in the fuel lane next to the one I'm in now. And then the guy left the lane that I'm in now. Here we are, fueling, la la la. Gonna go to the other side. So I moved over one, but because I was already too far forward, I ended up at a weird angle. So I then tried to adjust myself by, where can I set this? There we go, it's on the catwalk. I ended up trying to back out a little bit and like straighten myself out. And then when I came forward again, like I left the fuel pump sitting on the ground out of the way, of course, because if you hang it back up, then it ends the transaction. So, but when I backed out, it did something where it like interfered with the process of fueling because the chip or whatever was out of range, I guess. So I came back up by the pump to put the pumps back in the tanks, and it said, please see cashier. And I was like, oh man. The last time I had an issue trying to fuel, I've only had a problem one other time since they instituted this, and I've only had it in my truck for like a week and a half, so I'm still getting used to it. But I went into that, I was at a Love's that was not the kind where once you're in the fuel lane, if you get out, you have to leave and like go out and go back to an exit and do some crazy turnaround because it's a super tight, really inconvenient location. It was somewhere in Iowa. So I went inside to try to talk to the employees, and they tried to help, but they were no help. So they can't really do anything on their end with this RFID setup, I don't think. This time, I ended up doing a lap around the lot. It let me fuel the DEF though. That was what was weird. I hung up the fuel pumps, then it's prompted the DEF. I'm like, okay, I did the DEF. I came back around and went through the process again. So, you know there's going to be little kinks in a thing like that, but I'm lucky that this isn't a super busy fuel stop, because if it was, having to get out of the fuel island and come back around, that can be not great. So it worked out. Good morning, my friends. I thought I would do a little experiment. We'll see if it works, if I can use it. And I will try to line up video and audio or something. I'm in Pennsylvania. I don't know why I keep feeling the need to do sing-songy things, but I am headed to a pickup in Maryland. When they said I was going to Maryland, I was like, they're gonna send me to Baltimore, aren't they? They're not. They're sending me to this pickup, and I just left this delivery. I wonder how many of you relate to this experience where it feels like such a journey to get to a location, and then you have this like lightning fast unload, and you're like, that's it, that's the culmination. But I was delivering a load of juice, which at first I thought was like box wine or something. I don't know why I like just kind of glanced at the packaging and I read it wrong, but it was juice. That delivery was crazy fast. Carlisle, PA. I wonder if anybody has delivered to the place that, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of places it could be, but without naming specifics, it was awesome. It was so fast. They were friendly. I got in the door immediately. I was unloaded in 15 minutes, like 15, maybe 20. And that's why, I don't know if anybody can tell, but I currently only have foundation on. Haven't done my contour, my bronzer, or anything else whatsoever, because I started putting makeup on and I got a phone call that they were done, and I was like, hot diggity dog, okay, let's go. So I'm headed to a pickup, so I will complete the loop at the next spot. I'm on this Bailey Sarian inspired grunge girl vibes thing. I get on Kicks, which any of you who are interested in makeup like I am might notice, where I'll do a certain makeup look till I get tired of doing it. I just love makeup. I always have since I was really little. Oh, this lane really sucks. This is when you want to get in the left lane, but unless there's a sign saying trucks left lane, then I usually will stay in the right lane, even if it's shitty, depending on how shitty and how much it's rearranging my insides. But let's get over here since there's somebody on the shoulder. And it's funny, I'm talking and I'm kind of ignoring the distance warning, and I shouldn't do that. However, it's one of those things where you're trying to maintain the same speed as traffic, and that's one of the things that I really dislike. I guess that would be a negative of being a company driver, is that they have every option. Well, I don't know. You guys tell me, if you have a Freightliner, a newer Freightliner, and you're an owner-operator, can you disable the distance warning, or is that one of the features that is always on? I would understand why it would always be on. It makes sense, because it definitely helps you gauge distance more effectively, and you need to be able to do that. But there are times when you're in traffic that it's not practical to keep distance. I've talked about this too many times, but you know, people will close the distance, so you have to just do your best to keep as much distance as you can. I'm how many feet am I from this guy? 197 now, which is a lot more space than other vehicles have between them. I'm trying to keep that distance, but you go too much slower and people will just start flying around you, especially when you're on a 2-lane road like this. I also keep wanting to film and just like let people see how much these roads like impact your body when you're driving a truck. And this is nothing because I'm unloaded, but when you're heavy, like I was just loaded at 42 something, I think, and you're on bumpy roads, your body really feels it. Another variable that I've been talking about with a couple of my trucker friends is, I believe so this is the first truck I've had with a sliding fifth wheel, and I have no idea how to operate it, so I don't mess with it. But I keep meaning to have someone walk me through it, because it's something you need to know, and that's, again, always learning new things in trucking, and that's really important and valuable. Someone told me before that it was the kind of thing where you should always have help with it. It's not something you can do very easily by yourself. I don't know. I'm sure there's some super truckers out there like, hogwash. There's an old one for you. I haven't said that probably ever, and I haven't heard it in a long ass time. Sounds like something my grandma would have said. That's a very old Midwestern type of exclamation. Hogwash. I remember my dad saying stuff like that when I was a kid. Side note, my grandma's 99th birthday was yesterday. Yeah, so I guess that bodes well for me. But yeah, so the sliding fifth wheel thing, I believe my fifth wheel is set back, like, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it's back one notch too far, and that ends up affecting the way that your truck scales. But it seems to have worked in my favor. Like last week, I was technically overweight by 100 pounds. I was like 80,100, but there's an exemption for the APU. So I was able to drive legally, but I had to have my tandems back on like the 14th hole in order to get it legal. And it was like barely legal. But what was interesting is with the tandems that far back, in like moving the tandems around didn't tweak the weight on my steers too much. They were still like well under 12,000, which was nice, because I thought, oh shit, when I move the tandems, I guess, let's see, if I move the tandems back that far, it's gonna end up, am I thinking about this the right way? It's gonna end up increasing weight on, no, it would decrease the weight anyway. So yeah, easy unload this morning after a long, what felt like a long trip, but I always enjoy driving in PA. I enjoy the foggy areas, even when it's, as long as it's not too scary. It was like borderline this morning where it was pretty limited. And when it's like that, you're concerned with, like, you know, your lights blinding people because fog, so you obviously don't have any, like, you have your low beams on and whatever. But thankfully this morning people were driving less douchey than they were yesterday, man. I don't understand some of these drivers. They don't gain any speed, and it's driving from a place of ego that's dangerous and stupid. And most importantly, it's fucking annoying. But anyway, I complain about that plenty. So I'm just, I'm trying not to piss people off simultaneously. I'm trying to strike a balance. I typically start to get anxious by the time the weekend rolls around because I'm like, okay, they're gonna make me do a 34 and I don't want to do a 34, but I learned my lesson from last weekend. So the video that just came out, or maybe by now it'll be 2 videos ago, I don't know when I'll end up using this. Yeah, see, just FYI, these truckers are passing me because I'm keeping 200 feet, and the thing keeps beeping, and it starts beeping at 230 feet. So I'm really trying to keep, like, it's not that much space ahead of me, but I'm trying to keep some, and everyone's still flying around me. It's just the way it goes. So basically, what I didn't really get into that much in that video, I did, but I ended up cutting it out because I'm trying to be mindful that I'm not trying to, like, badmouth this company on my YouTube channel. I think they're a good company. I think that the industry itself is pretty messed up, and even good companies are going to have practices as part of their survival that are not good for drivers. I don't think that they're, like, you know, stacking up cash while drivers are frustrated and stressed out all the time. I think they're probably surviving. Here's the thing. You don't get to be, as a company the size of this one, you don't get to remain in business and, like, do well enough to keep all your equipment brand new or close to it, and, you know, keep experienced drivers on your staff and not have a crazy amount of turnover. You don't get to do that if you don't have some really deliberate skill and strategy involved. So I want to make sure that I'm clear that I don't know it all. I'm giving you guys the on-the-ground truck driver perspective, because trucking is a shitty industry. It just is. And, like, I love the job, I love the vocation, I love the learning experiences, and I love the camaraderie, the brotherhood, whatever you want to call it, sisterhood, you know what I'm saying, brotherhood. We'll just lump it all in together. Why not? I love sometimes when my trucker buddies call me brother. I think it's like, it kind of goes beyond gender. It's about inclusiveness. It's about, like, feeling like you're part of the brotherhood, you know, and it means something to me that's a little broader than just, like, gender norms. But anywho, let's not get into that sticky ass subject, shall we? No, let's not. Please don't put anything in the comments that I need to delete. Yeah, so you know, when I say negative stuff, I'm not trying to come down on the company, because I think that given the conditions and the economy and the freight market and all of these variables, I think they do a very good job. I don't think that they're trying to screw me over or take advantage of me. There are companies that do that, and I don't think that this is one of them. But I think that, you know, just the systems in place for drivers are not good systems. It's bigger picture stuff. It's federal policy regarding the trucking industry that, oop, I don't want to get in that lane, do I? Wait a minute. Is this my exit? It is my exit. Okay, cool. I could go on a whole, I mean, I go on many tangents, and I'm not sorry. That's just how I am. Sometimes I feel compelled to tell people, like, I know that I come across probably as, like, maybe sometimes kind of a know-it-all, which I don't know that much. I just know what I surmise from the things I experience, and I've had a lot of varied experience in my life, more than some people, I would say. It's very safe to say. What are you doing, bud? What you do? Are you gonna get over? Are you thinking about it? Are you looking at your phone? You're probably looking at your phone. Scroll, scroll, scroll. That's what's happening right there. You know I'm talking about that white car that keeps veering towards my lane, right? Yep. He's on his phone, or she. Gotta love that. My dad, when he was driving trucks, he's essentially retired now, but he refers to that as drunk, how does he phrase it? Drunk driving on your phone. Because that's what they look like they're under the influence because they're weaving so much, but it's just that they're looking at the phone. Good morning. Well, I'm trying to decide what to do, and I'm in another state of frustration like I was last weekend. but I'm just trying to more quickly come to a place of acceptance of the situation and recognize that, like, oh man, I don't know where to start. So I just did this unload. I had to get up real early to get here on time. I had to get up at I got up at 1:45 Eastern, left at like 3:30, and it was a great, this place is real easy. It was a recycled paper load, and it's one of the places where they clean out the trailer, which I keep getting sent to, and I do have paper loads, which is amazing. So that's really nice. And I love driving super early in the morning because it's just way lower stress. But I'm done getting unloaded, and yesterday when I talked with my dispatcher, oh, by the way, I didn't tell you guys, they switched dispatchers on me again, and they didn't tell me they were going to. Like, I was working with this dispatcher that I really liked. He was the 4th dispatcher I worked with, I want to say. I had to ask for new ones twice because I had people who seemed very inexperienced and kept having me wait long periods of time in between loads, and I was like, that's not going to work. I can't be sitting around wasting my clock. So I ended up with a guy that I really liked, and then he went on vacation. And when he came back, apparently they're like, oh, now you're going to work with this guy, the temporary guy that they gave me when he was on vacation. And that guy was the most non-personable, robotic. It seemed like he very much did not want to work with me from the get-go, and was not communicative. And I was just like, okay, if I have to work under this person, I am screwed. Like, I'm screwed. So I told them right away, I was like, no, I need to work with somebody who's a better communicator, you know, who's not going to just leave me hanging. So they put me with someone else who I like, who is a former driver themselves, not, I don't think with this company, but someone who was a driver, which to me is always preferable. But what's frustrating is the dispatcher, I talked with him yesterday, and he was like, okay, you know, we have a plan to get you back up, you know, after we're having you deliver this load, and then we don't have it set up yet, but it's probably going to be this load, this contracted load, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So I was ready to, like, as soon as I was done with this unload, which I knew was going to be, I figured it was going to be quick. And as soon as I saw what kind of facility it was, I knew it was going to be quick because these guys are really efficient. I called dispatch I called when I was like 10 minutes out to let them know, okay, hey, I'm about to get unloaded. It's probably going to be pretty, you know, quick. They're like, oh, well, we don't see a load on you. And I was like, here we go, same thing again. So one of the things that I'm figuring out, and I don't know if this is just me or what, but I reach a certain number of miles for the week and I can't get more than that. So I'm at like 2,700 miles, which is like the best I've gotten in a while. And I have time on my clock to keep running today and still do a 34 tomorrow and then deliver on Sunday or on Monday. I don't want to do a 34 on the road, but the dispatcher, I asked him, like, just tell me straight up, like, am I going to have to do a 34 on the road? He said, yes. This is going to end up being like a 45 or something like that by the time it's all said and done. And the thing that is frustrating the most is what feels like just straight up dishonesty. And I don't know if that is the case, but I'm not saying it is for sure, but what I'm sharing this stuff because I know other drivers experience it, and I want to give voice to this experience because I think it's important to, like, validate it, that it's validate the fact that it's frustrating. And it's not just me, like, talking shit. I don't, like, hate the company or anything like that. I just don't understand why anyone would think that it's okay to tell a driver one thing when this is my life. This is like what little time I have that's my own is still my life, my time. And if I can't earn, I want to know that so I at least can, like, be mentally prepared for how it's going to go. But I feel like I was just lied to. Like, we have this load for you, you know, it's basically, it sounded like it was going to happen, but it just wasn't, like, finalized yet. And then the thing that kills me is the people that I talked to during the weekend, it's not the same. And every time I call, I get somebody different, and they are not, I don't know how to explain it, but I can't possibly feel less heard. It's as if we are, I don't know how to describe it. I feel really frustrated talking to them to the point that I don't want to even call. And you can't, no one will respond in the chat, so you can't send a chat, which sometimes is a better option. Depending on where you work, I've found that to be the case. It's like some companies using the chat, if they have one, is more efficient because they're looking at it the whole time, versus like waiting, you know, sometimes they'll be able to, they're usually typing while they're talking on the phone with another driver, which sucks for them. I wish they didn't have to do that. But yeah, so they said they're looking for a load for me, but they're not going to give me a load. I guarantee it. I already know. So I'm just in this random place in Tennessee, and I'm going to try to figure out where to stay. Somebody said in a comment, like, find a, you know, comfortable place to stay, like a hotel or something like that. And it's like, I can't really afford to spend money on stuff like that because I'm not earning where I need to be, and the time that I have to earn is not being utilized completely. So I just feel like I'm left twisting in the wind, as they say in some old ass expression. So I'm just sitting here and I'm waiting for them to call me back, but they're not going to call me back. I'll be amazed if they do. I'll be shocked. So I'm going to try to figure out where to stay. I did think about trying to get a room, but I can't justify spending money on that when, you know, I'm losing a day of work that I was expecting to have. And I was so, like, I was feeling really good about the fact that, oh, all right, finally, this will be the first week since I worked here that I was able to hit more than 2,700 miles, pretty much. I think it would be the very first time since I started here like 5 months ago. And it's not for lack of trying. So yeah, it's not going to happen. And I wish there was something I could do to change it. I wish there was a way that I could get people to communicate differently than they do, but there's nothing I can do. It's like I said in a previous video, you have to accept the situation as it stands because it isn't going to improve. It's not going to change. This is the way it is. So I just have to either accept it or move on with my life, you know? So that's the decision that I'm working on, apparently. I'll catch you later.